So, are you ready for the complete Teyvat timeline and Genshin Impact story explain? Genshin Impact 6.1 lore and story. And it was from the Gamer Chronicles channel, if you want to watch the video too. Okay, so let's go. We'll be finally up to date because I understand nothing.
Line of Genshin Impact simplified. Well, sort of. We're gonna go into depth on what happened in every nation during every time period, the more influential characters leading up to our current game and nod cry.
What did you prefer for the subtitle? You want subtitle here, down, or here, up or down? Which did you prefer between?
Point 1. But it is going to be straightforward, easy to follow, focusing on the main plot points, because obviously Genshin's lore and story is very convoluted. An actual timeline touching on every single character, their history could take hours. So
maybe I should change my title to React Complete Genshin lore. Hop. Let's go. Hello, fresh Jean. A little higher. I can't. Oh, I can.
This is going to be my somewhat simplified, complete timeline, start to finish, of Genshin
and
Impact.
Yes, I have a good weekend.
Lived the dragons, an incredibly smart and advanced race, even building spaceships and traveling
I thought it was me, but it's the video.
The leader among them, Nibelung the Dragon King, along with his 7 sovereigns, the dragons being of the Light Realm. And the
okay, Nibelung, I remember him. So he's the king of the dragons. Okay.
Main elemental beings of Teyvat. Nibelung then created 3 moons and 3 gods corresponding with them to
little higher the sound. Okay, sorry.
Uphold the laws and nature of Teyvat.
Is it better now?
A mysterious voyager and outside
for the sound, or did I need to increase a bit again? The weekend is almost over. No. Yes, sadly. Yep. Okay, nice.
Came to Teyvat and made friends with the dragons and the Dragon King. Then once the Voyager left, a mysterious first descender descended upon Teyvat, creating 4 shining shades and shadows of themselves, representing life, death, space, and time.
Okay, so the first descender creates the 4 shades.
The dragons and defeated them. Nibelung would then leave to get help from the Abyss to defeat the usurpers. This mysterious person would be known as the Primordial One, and then would tailor-make Teyvat to cater to humanity, and humanity would prosper under the rule of the angels and Celestia under the Primordial One. Humans were very content living peacefully.
The first descender is the heavenly principle. Okay.
Ignorant lives. Until they started asking questions about the outside world, forbidden knowledge, then they started to piss off the heavenly principles, which met with divine wrath. All the while the dragons have been stewing pissed off about being usurped and losing their planet. So they started forming kinship with the humans who also now felt segregated. The Moon Sisters that were created by...
yes, okay, so the dragons and human teams up to fight against the first descender and the first and his 4 shades. Okay. Hello, Pined. Hello. Yeah, this is very complex. This is why I'm watching a video, a resume, because I was totally lost. I'm totally lost.
The Dragon King to serve the dragons were forced to side then with the heavenly principles once they usurped, which pissed off the dragons. This mysterious voyager would return, wondering what the hell happened to Teyvat. Everything's so strict now. Disguising themselves as a human, fell in love with one of the angels, who were also starting to question their role in all this and their purpose of being created to guide and govern over humanity. This led them to creating a new race in Hyperborea, a secret civilization. Then Nibelung came back with forbidden knowledge.
Oh fuck! I'm not on my account, I have ads, fuck! Sorry guys. I'm not on my account, I don't have YouTube Premium on this. Sorry. And I can't skip! And of course I have French ads.
Heavily corrupted by the
Sorry
Abyss,
guys.
which pretty much plagued.
Have you already played the multiplayer version? The multiplayer version? Use adblock. I'm on the private account. I don't have. I use a guest account. I use a guest account. Oh my god. And no, I don't think I played the multiplayer version.
That and they went to war again with the Heavenly Principles, which the dragons and the sovereigns biding their time joined the fray. Seeing how corrupted his old friend was, though, this mysterious voyager had to side with the Heavenly Principles, leading to a war so catastrophic that it pretty much wiped out everything and everyone in Teyvat, permanently scarring the land, and the Heavenly Principles having to cast down the Divine Nails. Sumeru used to be covered in a rainforest but led to it being a desert, and Dragonspine becoming a cold, desolate mountain. And because they felt betrayed by the Moon Sisters, they killed 2 of them along with their moons, and the 3rd Moon Sister was killed but their moon left dormant but still intact. Teyvat barely survived this war, but now that the dragons were permanently defeated, the Heavenly Principles initiated a new world order, inciting the gods and long-life species in Teyvat to fight for.
So all the elemental dragons are descendant of the first dragons, like all the Archon's dragons are descendant of the first one dragons. Should be able to use browser extensions still.
For a gnosis, carved from the remains of the 3rd Descender, and visions to be distributed to worthy individuals that could uphold Teyvat, protect
the Dragon Sovereign, yes,
and external threats. Basically like an incentive and reward system for being good, and living the way the Heavenly Principles wants you to live. This led to the Archon War that only ended 2,000 years ago before the game's events. In Mondstadt, there was a dictator god that lived in the capital, Dikaraban, the god of storms. Mondstadt was a winterly, desolate place. A little wind spirit would inherit the powers of Istaroth, and after a huge rebellion and war, they would overthrow the god of storms, and this little wind spirit would take on the form of a bard, being known as Venti, becoming the first and only ever Animal Archon with the Animo Gnosis. After the god of storms.
Oh my god, guys! This outfit on Venti, please! I'm begging you, take my money! Take my money, please! Like, maybe I would play Venti again if he could have this outfit. Like, please.
Storms was defeated, Venti terraformed the land so that Mondstadt was now a lush, green, fertile land, not a cold, desolate winter place. While Venti was busy terraforming Mondstadt, an icy, snowy mountain known as Palos Peak got nearly completely buried by Venti's animo powers, with only the peak of it being visible to this day, known now as Musk Reef.
Ah, so it was a mountain here? Okay.
The people then abandoned the capital of Mondstadt, which is now known as Storm Terror's Lake.
Guys, fun fact, I thought at first, when I started the game, I thought it was Kenria here. I thought here was Kenria. Like, what's wrong with me? I was so dumb. Like, I thought, like, wow, it looks like ruins. It should be it should be Kenria ruins of the ancient city. I was so wrong.
And formed a new capital city in Cider Lake, with a nice cathedral built at the top and a statue of their new Animo Archon.
Wait, Mondstadt is so little. Like it looks more. It's look bigger when you are in the city, but with this view, it looks really tiny. I know someone who thinks Dragon Spy was sneezing. Yeah, the city is really tiny.
He was a very lenient Archon, not intervening with his people too much, allowing them true freedom. This worked out okay for the most part, but then around 1,000 years ago, all the rich people of Mondstadt banded together to form an aristocracy, belittling the lower class and even taking slaves. And unfortunately for some wanderers from Natlan that escaped Natlan, they were taken captive to fight in the gladiator pits, but because they're from Natlan, the nation of war, they dominated the gladiator ring, Vanessa being the most renowned of all of them, until she stood up to the nobles in Venti's honor, not even knowing it's the Animal Archon, and they forced her to fight Ursa the Drake, which she defeated, and then it started a rebellion overthrowing the rich nobles. And Vanessa founding and becoming the first ever Grand Master of the Knights of Favonius, later ascending to Celestia to become one of the Four Winds, the Falcon of the West. Also a group of exceptionally powerful witches with long lifespans, well most of them, and the founding member of this group, Alice, forms a group known as the Hexen Circle, which is German for Coven of Witches. They challenge the authority of the Animal Archon, but instead he invites them to share drinks. And from this day forward, there would be an alliance between the witches, the Animal Archon, and whoever is the current Grand Master of
Wait, what's the Animal Archon? There is Animal Archon? What is that? It's just Archon? There is just Archon? Venti, I think, is the Animal Archon, but why Animal Archon? Maybe because it was a seal before. Anemo. Okay. Anemo Archon. Okay. Mistranslated. Yeah, because it was so strange. Like Animal Archon. What?
Mondstadt to protect Mondstadt, but also Tevax.
Okay. Anemo Archon.
In Liyue, a bunch of Adepti.
Oh yeah, in Liyue. Wow. The translator is really, yeah, Liyue. Yeah, this is the new name of Liyue. Yes. Make the change, guys.
Would band together under one
It's really
mysterious
hard.
Omega Adepti named Rex Lapis, who would be undefeated in the Archon War, defeating many gods in his path, making Rex Lapis the oldest and only ever Geo-Archon. They resided within the Gilly Plains, I can't remember the name of it. This place
Thank you for your lurk,
then it got flooded out, hence all the water now. Around this time, the Stove God shrunk down and went into hibernation mode. Rex Lapis and the other Adepti would then go on to create Liyue Harbor, which would become the central hub of Liyue and their trading. Humans would eventually take over Liyue, while the Adepti would take a back seat, until eventually the Adepti completely went into isolation, to the point where humans don't even see them anymore, keeping to themselves while humans took over Liyue. One of the many gods
for this
Rex
I remember.
Killed.
For the story of Liyue, I remember most of them. It was pretty clear for me at those times.
In the Archon War was a giant serpent-like dragon, one of the more powerful ones he fought, which was actually Zhao's former master. Zhao being so grateful for Rex Lapis granting his freedom, he remains loyal to Rex Lapis to this day. And because Rex Lapis killed so many gods during the Archon War, and their remains plagued the land, he formed his own suicide squad called the
Quoi? I don't think this is a bad translation. He formed his own suicide squad. What the fuck? He said that because everyone died except Xiao. What the fuck, bro?
Yakshas to help deal with this
really
problem and
harsh.
corruption, which ultimately led to all the Yakshas going mad in one way or another, with Zhao being the only one left.
It's pretty accurate.
He almost succumbed to the madness himself, but Venti saved his life. In Inazuma, there were twin gods, Raiden A and Raiden Mei.
Oh fuck, another ad.
Avec Reventa, gérez facilement toutes les catastrophes du quotidien.
Fuck you.
L'innovation X-Clean 10 de Reventa aspire
I don't
et lave
care.
simultanément, conçu pour nettoyer.
Okay, next time I use my own account. Like, fuck ads. I use my own account with. I have YouTube Premium on my account, so we won't be burdened by any ads the next time. I'm sorry.
Raiden A and Raiden Makoto. Raiden A was exceptionally strong and powerful, while Raiden Makoto not as strong.
Oh fuck, Raiden A. I was like, Raiden A? Like, Raiden A? Raiden B? What the fuck? What the fuck, bro? What do you mean, Raiden A or Raiden B?
Was a way better leader and delegator, so the twin gods would become the Electro Archons. But outside of a very few select people, because they were twins, everyone just assumed they were the same being, just one individual. Do you remember all those ancient civilizations we just talked about under the primordial one? Well, one of those civilizations survived, but they got sunken into the abyss, known as Enkanomiya, where they continued to survive. They got harassed by a god known as the Dragonair of the Depths, until Orobashi fled Chenyu Vale not to get slaughtered by Rex Lapis in his campaign. Orobashi would free the people of Enkanomiya, read the book Before Sun and Moon, and learn about the old world, which then he was sentenced to death by Celestia. He would take the descendants of Enkanomiya, creating a new island known as Watatsumi Island. But because he was sentenced to death and did not want his new civilization to feel that wrath along with him, he went and attacked Yashiori Island and was eventually slain by the Raiden Shogun and her legendary sword, the Mutsuno no Tachi. After Orobashi died, his skeleton
He said twin Archon, but only Makoto had the Electron.
Can be seen there to this day. The people of Watatsumi refused to acknowledge the Raiden Shogun after their god was killed, and the people of Watatsumi feel that way to this day. One silver lining is their dead deity now, Orobashi.
Wait, so this big snake Orobashi was the god of Watatsumi people? Okay, if it's the case, I miss a big thing. Big thing.
Yashi's remains caused the island of Yashiori to be plagued and corrupted.
So yeah, I really miss a big thing here. Okay.
Much like the dead gods the Yaksha try to deal with. The shogunate forces tried to establish strongholds and encampments on this island, but it led to everyone going mad and killing each other. So Yashiori Island acts as a perfect no-man's land between the two armies. In Sumeru, there were 3 god kings, King Deshert, Rukkhadevata, and Nabu, the goddess of flowers. Nabu, being from the angel race banished from the old world, knew the secrets and history of Teyvat and told King Deshert. King Deshert was picked by Celestia to be the Archon but refused, choosing to instead rebel, learning about the old world and the—
Wait, King Deshret should have been an Archon? Wait, guys, we miss so much. Oh, yeah. It just say nope. Nope, bro. Orobashi was not the Electro Dragon Sovereign. It wasn't even. Yeah. I knew that.
Fake power.
So there isn't any dragon in Inazuma. Like in Liyue, Fontaine, Mondstadt, there is dragons, but not in Inazuma. The Archon, the Inazuma Archon don't have any dragon. Big trench of the Yashiori Island is the result of Raiden slaying Orobashi. Okay. Ah, yeah, I remember this story, yes. I remember this story.
They were offering him. Both Nabu and Deshert would die in their attempt to rebel, leaving Rukkhadevata no choice but to save the desert. The corruption and forbidden knowledge King Deshert brought forced Rukkhadevata to isolate the rainforest and then expel her power, saving the desert people, forcing her to be in a shrunken down state and become the first Dendro Archon. Rukkhadevata would save the people of the desert, but the academia and their misinformation campaign would
Yeah,
spin
shame.
this, and the truth would get buried in the sand.
Shame.
No pun intended.
They made everyone hate on the Naida. Guys, I was so sad. I was so sad when I learned the truth. I was so sad, guys. It was so sad. Like everyone hate her. She just saved everyone, but everyone hate her. It was so sad. Like I was so angry at this time. I was so angry. Like bro.
So that the people of the desert felt that Ruka Devada favored the people of the rainforest and killed their deity, causing a lot of strife between the rainforest and desert people that remains to this day. Ruka Devada also created some little creatures known as the Aranara to help her govern and rule over Sumeru. In Fontaine, the Hydro Sovereign died in the Great War, so the Shade of Life needed to replace the Heart of the Primordial Sea in order to safeguard Teyvat, so they created the first ever Oceanid, Egeria, who would then become the first ever Hydro Archon, and would go on to create many more Oceanids that would populate.
Wait, so that means all the Archons are from are from dragon rulers, sovereign, no, sovereign rulers, right? So dragons. She's so cool. No, okay.
Fontaine. These Oceanids would then plead to Egeria they wanted to become humans and experience humanity. She thought to herself, sure, I don't see why not. Then the Heavenly Principles went, nope, now...
Wait, explanation is crazy. We want to be human. Okay, why not? Evelyn Principle, nope.
Fontaine and everyone that lives there doomed with an awful prophecy that will come to fruition one day with the flooding of Fontaine and the destruction of everyone living there. It should also be noted too that before Egeria was even created, there was a god king named Remus who was originally from Sumeru, but his land was conquered by the powerful King Deshert. So he fled to Fontaine and established a nation known as Remoria, being the first ever historical capital of Fontaine, a place that prospered under freedom and a lot of drinking, partying, and songs, let's be honest.
Okay, that's why I missed the complete lore of this zone. This area was really cool, like for exploration, quest, and all. But I totally missed the lore. Even if principle be like there. Primordial once told the authorities over elements of the dragons and gave them to the Archons via the Gnosis. Primordial one is the first descender, right? Am I right? The elemental authority have been taken from the Dragon Sovereign and after the Archon Wild gift to the Seven. Yes, okay. Wait, the first descender is like a piece of shit? Like, what the fuck, bro? And if I understood well, he just ran away like nothing happened after messing all the planets, after do all the put all the mess on the planets. If I understood well. Like, what the fuck? That's why when Nevilat take back the Hydro Authority, he said that he had no need for Gnosis. That's why when Nevilat... Wait, so Nevilat is a descendant of dragons? Oh yeah. Okay, that's it. I'm lost. I'm still lost. I'm still lost. So Nevilat is a descendant of ancient dragons. So dragon sovereign. Primordial one be like, we do a little trolling here. Yeah, literally, if I understand well, yeah. This is literally. Nevilat is the Hydro Sovereign. Ah, okay. It makes more sense with this information. Nevilat is the Hydro Sovereign reincarnated. Okay.
But he tried to prevent Fontaine's inevitable prophesized destruction with his Grand Symphony, trying to grant his people eternal life. elevating their souls and
Talking
minds
about
into
the Widget.
golems. But ultimately his plan failed, and Remoria is found at the depths of the ocean to this day. In Natlan, the dragons were still very prevalent, having their secret hidden civilizations, along with Shukatl, the Pyro Sovereign, that after the War of Vengeance was extremely corrupted by the Abyss and started laying waste to Natlan's ley lines. In order to save Natlan, an exceptional hero and human named Xbalanque battled Shukatl and defeated the dragons, stabbing their eye out in the volcano, but would die in the process, but would be resurrected by the Shade of Death, Renova. With Natlan having such severely damaged ley lines, which would allow the Abyss to have a huge presence in Natlan, the only way for this nation to survive was for Xbalanque and the Shade of Death to make a deal.
Ah, Xbalanque, c'est Xbalanque. Okay. For real, Natlan was the deeper lore. I was so lost. I think this is the worst for me, the Natlan lore. I didn't understand anything.
Humans would become Archons one by one, and the sacred flame would allow humans and heroes of Natlan to be resurrected if they win the war, keeping Natlan safe in a constant battle and war with the Abyss, which would last for generations until the current game's events.
So, who is Xbalanque? Like, he was a sovereign dragon? A dragon sovereign?
Shade of Death would task one of her underlings.
Xbalanque is the first pyro icon. He was the first pyro icon. Okay, so human. The small dude, yeah, the small dude with the swirling cloak. I remember. Her cloak was so buggy. Can't stop to swirl. I'm sure you hate speaking English. Why? Because you cannot call them archons. Archon. Yes, you mean like all the other pyro archon. Okay. I can say pyro archon if I want. Archon. It's okay.
Angels. I'm not even going to try to pronounce her name. The Lord of Night, to help construct the Night Kingdom to act as Natlan's ley lines, which would serve this purpose until this very day. The dragon sage that Shukatl left in charge of the dragon civilization was impeached by the 13 dragon lords after he introduced phlogiston to the primitive humans. In order
Okay, here, this quest, I don't understand anything. Like, anything.
to undermine Celestia, he also created Ochcan, who was his son, a half-dragon, half-human, intending for him to unite the humans and dragons to rise and fight the throne of the heavens as one. Ochcan Natlan was then established by Xbalanque, but once he became Pyro Archon, the king of Ochcan Natlan fell to Ochcan himself, who was friends with the first Pyro Archon. But Ochcan eventually betrays his buddy, becomes a tyrant, and obsessed with killing dragons. Not what his old man had planned for him whatsoever. But the human that would become the second Pyro Archon after Xbalanque would eventually overthrow Ochcan, with Ochcan's mind and body being split in half. One in the Dragon of the City of Flowing Ash, and the other, I'm not going to pronounce that, but it's this little guy. But essentially, because the Natlan Pyro Archon is just a human with a human lifespan, there were a ton of Pyro Archons over the coming years, leading up to the Cataclysm 500 years ago. In Snezhnaya, they would have the first Cryo Archon Belizar.
Wait, we have the lore of Snezhnaya too?
That would inherit that role in the Cryo Gnosis until they would be succeeded by the Tsaritsa. And in recent books of Nodcry, they hint towards an arranged marriage between a Descender and the Tsaritsa.
Wait, Tsaritsa is married? Is Tsaritsa married? Huh? Is she... Tsaritsa is a mummy? Is Tsaritsa a mummy? She is a widow. Une menthe religieuse? She killed her husband? Hmm? Ah, veuve. Ah, okay. Yeah.
Once the Archon War was over 2,000 years before the game starts, Teyvat would somewhat prosper under pretty normal times, while an underground godless nation named Conria would form. Finding ways to harness the power of the Crimson Moon, able to harness many powers from outside Teyvat, technology and different scientific achievements gathered from outside Teyvat.
Wait, so that means Kenria was here with other nations like Liyue, Fontaine, and all? Everyone used to live together on the same at the same time? So Kenra wasn't the only city on Earth? How the fuck did you go with Montreal for Widow? I don't know. Oh, I thought about Widowmaker. La faiseuse de... Mais inversé, the opposite. Like, because Mantis killed their husband. So, yeah. Don't ask question. Can you repeat your question? So, Kenria existed at the same time as Liyue, the ancient Liyue, Fontaine, Mondstadt, and all. Seven Nations already existed when Kara was here. They choose to follow no. Ah, okay. They don't have any archons. Ok. Tu parles français, toi, oui? Macron! Oui.
Harness the power of the Abyss and so much more. This includes summoning Outlanders from outside Teyvat, which includes us, the main...
What do you mean summoning? Summoning?
Outside Teyvat, technology and different scientific achievements gathered from outside Teyvat. Harness the power of the Abyss and so much more. This includes summoning Outlanders from outside...
What do you mean summoning? Like, what? So maybe we were summoned by Kenrian? Oh, wow. Kenria exists during the time of the Seven Nations, but without a divinity. Pourquoi tu parles en anglais? Parce que j'ai switch mon contenu en anglais. I switch my content to English. And yes, most of people speak in English, but you can speak in French if you want. Si vous voulez, vous pouvez parler en français, je vous répondrai en français. I answer you in French if you want. But I mainly speak in English. Like 90% of time, I'll speak in English. And if you want to follow, what am I saying? I put the translator on my stream. You can enable the translator on my stream to have French or English subtitles as you want. French? Hey you! Wait, French? Is French people real?
outside Teyvat, which includes us, the main...
But wait, I have a question. Like, I turned my stream in English. I put the English language. I don't have any French tag. How is it possible that French people found me? Like, how is it possible French people found me? I turned everything in English. My Twitch is I turned the base language of my Twitch in English. Like everything is in English, and French people still found me. How is it possible? Genshin, we are everywhere. Like, I understand if you are follow to my channel for a long time, but there are people. It's their first time in chat, so they are not follow to my channel, I guess. So how is it possible that much French people réarmement? I don't see the relation with this stomp. Hello, Yuga. How are you? The old king of Kenria used the Iridescent Moon Marrow to summon what would become the Crimson Moon dynasty. What king? Okay. Not the crazy king, right? When the new king from the Eclipse dynasty take the power, he reused this technique to summon the Traveler's sibling. Ah, okay. We are inevitable. We are ineluctable. French is ineluctable. Okay. Wait, so that means we were isekai'd? We were isekai'd in Tevat? So Genshin is a isekai? What the fuck? That's the truth. We are in the isekai. What the fuck? The Mad King of Fenrir, King Ermin of the Eclipse Dynasty. Okay.
Characters, one of which would stay dormant in their spaceship while our Abyss twin would integrate.
The sibling was isekai, not us? Wait, how is it possible he was isekai, not me? We had a spaceship. Wait, so we used our spaceship to rescue our sibling? To come save our sibling? Jonas have streamers recommendation when they are offline. Maybe you are in some of your French friends streamer. Ah, okay, maybe. That's a big question of Notgrad Archon Quest.
Into Conria civilization, becoming a well-known and important person within Conria. It should also be noted too that even mere humans were very exceptional in Conria, reaching heights of strength and prestige that was definitely forbidden by the heavenly principles. But among them, 5 of these individuals stood out amongst the rest, who want to become even more powerful than the heavenly principles, transcending this world, which is highly forbidden. And when Dainslift's older brother Vedelfulnir had his eyes gouged out by the king of Conria, and was placed into prison 500 years ago, the other 4 sinners broke him out of jail, but succumbed to the abyss that the king had already been corrupted by, indulging in their greatest desires, which would ultimately doom Conria and bring on the Cataclysm, a catastrophe in which the world has never seen. The Abyss and its monsters would run amok in every single nation simultaneously, causing untold destruction and damage.
Wait, Kenria fucked up everyone? Like the catastrophe of Kenria fucked up everyone? In Tevat? Yes, we knew that. No, I thought it was just in Kenria. Like everyone else was. I thought the other nation avoid. That's why the Archons jumped them. The Abyss is tied to them. The 5 sinners just took advantage and did not care. King Ermin summoned the Abyss in Tevat, and that's what. King Ermin, this is the madness king, the crazy king, the insane king, right? We know why he did that. The mad king of Fire was King Ermin. We know why he did that, or it just he was mad. Lust of power. Lust of power. Ah, soif de pouvoir. Okay. Lust of power. Okay. Soif de pouvoir. Okay. Merci. The King of Fire summoned the abyss in Kyria, but the abyssal energy was so immense that it affected the whole world. See it as the Tower of Babel. Oh, he wanted everything for knowledge. Trying to get better than gods. Okay. I see.
This nation went under everyone's nose for far too long, causing the Cataclysm 500 years ago, forcing the heavenly principles, the Archons, and all the manpower of Celestia and Tevat to take down this nation, with many innocent humans in Conria getting caught in the crosshairs.
Okay, so I understand why everyone is mad about Kenria now. Like, everyone hates on Kenria. It's really legitimate now. I thought, at first I thought Celestia was like, oh, we just want to destroy you for fun, but no, Kenria was really in troubles. Like they tried to, not Kenria, but the king really did a big shit with this. Five Sinners fucked up the world. Why Five Sinners? They did something? What did they do, the Five Sinners? They just tried to rescue Veldfronir, the Densleaf brother. Not the power of lust. yeah. I understood. Have understood. They got the abyssal power for themselves, but like they were trying to stop the Evil King. They got the abyssal power for themselves? Wait. Okay. I didn't understand that in the quest. Don't worry, I have to justify the sinners being not so evil so you can have Renedotir playable later. King used the twin of the traveler to summon the abyss. It was my twin! Nah, bro. This shit is crazy. It was my brother's fault from the beginning? Nah, brother. You fucked up so much, brother. No. So that's why he tried so hard to do his thing. So wait, how to say he feels culpability? He felt guilt. He's guilty of what happens because of him. They're just preparing their backtrack so they can make some playable. I could have saved the kingdom, but they choose to take the abyssal power and become godlike entities. Oh, okay. I did to absorb infinite abyssal power, and the king took advantage of them. So my brother was manipulated from the beginning. No, brother.
The pure-blooded Conrians being cursed with immortality, while the non-purebloods would be cursed with the wilderness, becoming hilly trolls and monsters. Then a group of them would slowly form the Abyss Order, while another pure-blooded Conrian, angry at the heavenly principles, would align with the Saritsa, the Cryo Archon.
What do you mean angry about the Invili principle? Bro! You have to be angry against your king! Your shitty king, you didn't do any strike. You didn't do any strike against your king, and you're mad about the Eveli principle. Bro, what's wrong with you? What the fuck? They didn't understand anything. They have 0 out of 10 out of 20. What the fuck? Just like the Crimson Moon Dynasty infused iridescent moon power into children, King Irmin of the Eclipse Dynasty infused abyssal power within the same. Okay, that's why there were so much kids in the Iridescent Moon Dynasty.
And form a group known as the Fatui, with 11 powerful generals known as the Fatui Harbingers. The heavenly principles would be
Bro, look, they look so evil. And there's just him was really evil. Maybe him, we didn't met him yet. So maybe he will save Fatui. and maybe Soanala too. Wait, it's only boys. Except Tartaglia, so Tartaglia is not a boy. So every boys are maybe they are evil and girls aren't evil. Fontana looks like the Elon Musk of Genshin. What? Fontana wants all the money of the world. Okay, I like him. He's just like me, for real.
and dormant from this day forward. Now, before we can continue in the timeline, how did the Cataclysm affect each nation? In Mondstadt, we'll talk more about the Valen.
So now it's kind of Greg Archer, but I don't think he's...
Feel everything. Feel it all. Myself. Le Nouvel Absolu. Yves Saint Laurent.
But he fought a dragon Durin, was corrupted, and many knights died. Now, before we can continue in the timeline, how did the Cataclysm affect each nation? In Mondstadt, we'll talk more about the Valen, but he fought a dragon Durin, was corrupted, and many knights died fighting the monsters, but ultimately Mondstadt was pretty unscathed. In Liyue, it was similar to Mondstadt, a lot of monsters.
Look at how it Liyue is wrote. Liyue. And you're making fun about Fatul. Fatuli.
There was many millilith casualties fighting these monsters, and heavy abyssal corruption and monsters in the chasm, with one of the Yaksha sacrificing themselves to keep the abyss at bay, preventing the corruption spreading from the depths. The cataclysm hit Inazuma pretty hard, there were many casualties, and the nation suffered greatly. Raiden Makoto, the current Archon, went to fight the Abyss in Sumeru, along with many of the other Archons where Raiden A stayed back in Inazuma. In the epic battle against Conria and its monsters, Raiden Makoto was slain, leading to Raiden A losing her sister and many of her friends along the way. Not feeling fit to rule with PTSD, she would create a puppet to rule in her stead. First creating a puppet with emotions and free will, but would ultimately set this puppet free, which would, probably not, but definitely will, come back to bite everyone in the ass later. Then she would perfect her design, and then ultimately...
Yes, literally. Fatui is plural, singular is fatus. Ah, okay.
This puppet would go on to be a pretty big dictator. Also, Raiden A was able to plant a sacred Sakura, the great tree helping keep the Abyss at bay in the future to help them in the past, through the power of time and Istaroth playing a hand at this. In Sumeru, forbidden knowledge spread like pollution, and it greatly affected the tree of Irminsul. Irminsul acts as like Teyvat's brain, the center of everything. This being corrupted would have ultimately led to the destruction of Teyvat as we know it, since we know Irminsul connects to everyone. Through memories, neurologically, through their minds, it would have been devastating, so Ruka Devada sacrificed herself to stop that from happening. With one of her last acts taking a remaining pure branch uncorrupted from Irminsul, creating the new Dendral Archon, Lesser Lord Kusanali. Unfortunately, she could not get rid of every little bit of corruption, and this lingering corruption would cause a phenomenon within Sumeru known as the Withering. In Fontaine, a massive dragon from outside Teyvat Ilia appears and attacks the population. They were ultimately able to defeat this dragon, which led to the birth of creatures known as Melusines, which would slowly be integrated into Fontaine society. The Melusines were discriminated against at first, but...
Melusines were from the dragon from outside of Teyvat? Wait, how dragons would came in Teyvat? Like, dragons are in Teyvat? Are already in Teyvat? Were already in Teyvat? Melusines are the antibody of the big dragons. Oh, that's why they were discriminated. Okay. I never understood why they were discriminated. Like, what the fuck, bro? They're so cute. But okay, it was, okay. That's why.
Now, people really enjoy their company. While this is happening, the first Hydro Archon Ageria, also fighting in Sumeru, was killed as well during the Cataclysm in the Great Battle. Ruka Devada anchoring her life force to the land, making the great tree we see today. Many Oceanids would then leave Fontaine, not wanting to follow Focalors, the new Hydro Archon, like Rodadia of Locke that can be found near Chitsa village in Liyue. Natlan was the nation most heavily affected by the Abyss. The current human that ascended to be the Pyro Archon, Mavwika, from the Scions of the Canopy tribe, had to devise a plan along with the heroes of that era, and they were successfully able to repel the abyssal invasion, but it led to everyone dying except for Mavwika. But she devised a plan, being able to be resurrected 500 years later in current game to continue her fight. While Istaroth, the Shade of Time, and potentially the Shade of Space Asmodee orchestrated our Abyss sibling, us, in the future while Conria is being destroyed, effectively guaranteeing they would miss the Cataclysm.
Melusines are the children of Elina's version of Renedotia, who takes an entity from the abyss to give her a physical. Ah, okay. So they are not directly from the dragons.
Ah.
Well, you know, racism, yeah.
Oh.
Racism in Fontaine, yes. Oh, don't make me hungry, guys.
Vous assurez.
Creating a paradox within a orchestra to continue her fight, while Istaroth, the Shade of Time, and potentially the Shade of Space Asmodee orchestrated our Abyss sibling, us, in the future while Conria is being destroyed, effectively guaranteeing they would miss the cataclysm, creating a paradox within Tevat. But our past selves
A paradox within Tevat. Tevat is now TV. So yeah, my last name is now Tevat. MiyunaTV. So yeah, so it was the word I wanted to find a paradox. We created a paradox during the Natlan quest, the last Natlan quest, the bot cave.
along with our past sibling, would then try to escape Tevat, being abrupted and stopped and imprisoned by the Shade of Space, Asmodee, sending our sibling
Wait, so she's Asmodee?
down to Tevat while we are imprisoned for 500 years. Our Abyss sibling goes on an epic journey with Dainsliff until they have a falling out. And then our Abyss sibling joins forces with the Abyss Order, devising a plan to form the Loom of Fate.
So wait, I was imprisoned during 500 years? What my brother did during this 500 years? Like, he tried to find me? Did he try to find me? Or it just like visiting all region? Traveling with Dane. Okay, so he didn't care about me during 500 years, right? Right. Mm-hmm. I see. Alberich died. He took the lead of the Abyssal Order. Okay, so he totally didn't care about us.
Building an atlas for Conria to recreate the underground nation. Sometime before we discover Paimon and begin our journey, Sertologi, one of those powerful 5 sinners, has gotten way more powerful outside Tevat, even having his own disciple named Skirk, who was a survivor of her home world that was destroyed. He trained Skirk to fight, and tells her that one day he will challenge and kill her along with everyone she holds dear if she does not get more powerful so she can be a challenge for him. She then crosses over the borders of Tevat and runs into Alice, who safeguards Tevat's borders and regulates who comes in and out. She then journeys across Tevat, even discovering the old, forgotten civilization of Hyperborea, with their current descendants, the Frostmoon Scions, residing within Nodcry. And then eventually she trains a young boy from Snezhnaya named Ajax, who would become Tartaglia, the 11th Fatui Harbinger. 500 years later, we awaken.
Alice, la donne de time. I think traveling was his way to search for us and learn more about the world. Oh. Star quest is really important to do. Okay, I didn't do the Skirk quest. So is Skirk a descendant of Angel? Because she looks like to have a... She looked like to have a angel wings in her back. She's an alien. Like us. Oh, come on. Okay, she's an alien. Okay.
And while we're fishing for some food, catch Paimon, who is drowning in the ocean.
Scarf comes from upside of Tevan. Okay.
In Liyue in the Stone Forest. We then tell Paimon our story about being trapped and start our...
Wait, it wasn't in Mondstadt? It was at Liyue, but... Wait. How we come from here to Mondstadt beach? Wait, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Forest. We then tell Paimon our story about being trapped and start our epic quest to regain our memories and find our lost sibling.
And what about the spaceship? Like, apparently we were in the spaceship. Loupé quoi 24 minutes de lore. Enfin, 1 heure de moi qui est en mode what the fuck. I understand now.
As we venture into Mondstadt, coming into contact with our first statue of the 7, realizing we can harness the elements. We then stumble upon the
We were
animal
so pure at
Archon
this
and
moment.
Devalin, one of the 4 winds, who is basically now sick and corrupted from battling a dragon named Durin on Dragonspine. A dragon created by one of the 5 sinners. You remember one of those 5 sinners? The one known as Rhindaughter that loved to create monsters using abyssal powers and alchemy, fuses with the shade of life, Naberius.
Oh,
But not before
she
creating
here?
a super being known as Albedo,
Is she looking
also
like that?
capable of great feats of alchemy and creation. She gives Albedo to Alice and the Knights of Avonius, Albedo acting as a big brother to Klee.
That's
Devalin
her,
now being
yes.
hostile and attacking the citizens of Mondstadt, while the Fatui try to regain influence in the city of Mondstadt. Grandmaster
pretty good.
Varka takes 80% of the Knights of Favonius' manpower, leaving Jean
Lisa.
Gunhilder as the acting Grandmaster with 20% of their manpower left to deal with the situation. We are
Rene Dotier fused with Naberius, the shade of life. Ah, that's why there were 2. Oh yeah.
able to foil the Abyss Order's plans, weaponizing Devalin and cure Devalin of his abyssal corruption, but not before La Signora, the 8th Fatui Harbinger, ambushes us and takes
Famous
Venti's
slap.
Gnosis. La Signora was just a maiden in Mondstadt 500 years ago, but her lover, a knight of Favonius, Rostam, was killed during the Cataclysm, and she blames Venti. If the 7 Archons are the 7 deadly sins, then Venti is
Wait, so she blamed Venti? But it was the Kenria fault? Wait, she literally works for a descendant of Kenria? Wait, is she dumb? Wait, is she... The leader of Fatwiz is from Kenria, right? It was the Kenria fault, so why is she mad against Venti? Or maybe she didn't know about this fact? Tell us at the end of the 5.6 paralogism quest. Okay. Wait, this is so dumb.
definitely the sin of sloth. She blames him for not doing anything and went down a dark path, becoming the Crimson Witch of Flames. She was also a prodigy at the Sumero Academia. This is why she hates Venti, and this is personal for her. And that's why Venti had to catch these hands.
Off. Because he didn't protect him. Okay. No, I don't want to play World of Warship. No!
A man named Dainsleif shows up in Mondstadt, basically telling us that he hates the gods and telling us the Abyss Order's plan to
Didn't
steal the
protect
eye
him.
of the first field tiller for their plans of the Loom of Fate. We find a defiled
But she still decided to work for one of the person who make this happen. So, okay, she slapped Venti because he didn't protect him, but she literally works for one of the person who killed her husband. So what the fuck? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, girl?
statue of the 7, where we meet the Abyss Princess, our mysterious lost sibling, who of course gives us a cryptic message about going on our journey to learn the truth. Can you be any more cryptic? Then we head on over to Liyue, where we go to celebrate their Archon in Liyue Harbor, and Rex Lapis is basically assassinated right away. But not really though. Actually, Rex Lapis is starting to suffer from something called erosion, which is basically dementia for gods, potentially making him dangerous in the future, and he wants to retire. The Saritsa and her 11 Harbingers by now already devised their plan to collect every Gnosis for their
Wait, so it could have just give the Gnosis to a new Archon? Like in Natlan? Or maybe because of the adaptee, Liyue doesn't need any new Geo Archon now, so they don't need a new one.
Ambitious plan to overthrow Celestia and their upcoming project called Project Stuja.
But just
while they
give the Gnosis
simultaneously set
to
up
the
a
next
huge base in
Archon.
Nodcry, a sub-nation of Snezhnaya, to harness the power of the moon. And let's be honest, they don't even want to attempt Rex Lapis's Geonosis by force, but they make a deal. The Tsaritsa wants his Gnosis and he wants to retire, but he wants to make sure his nation can survive without him. The Adepti used to run Liyue, but now the humans do. The Adepti kind of took a back seat and secluded themselves. He needs to bring them together, so now he hides in disguise as Zhongli, and basically starts planning his own funeral. And he's broke as a joke. We go visit the Adepti and tell him what happens. Naturally, the Adepti are pissed off and assume the worst in humanity. Tartaglia is tricked by La Signora to revive Osial, a god Rex Lapis defeated in the Archon War. The Adepti and humans all come together along with the Traveler to save the day, proving to Zhongli that they can survive without him. And as promised, he gives up his Geonosis, and Tartaglia is pissed off learning he was used. The pure-blooded Conrian Piero and the Lord Commander of the Fatui and the Harbingers sends his 6th Harbinger Scaramouche to kill the Traveler and investigate the falling stars, which are...
Fun fact, I never did this quest, so when I started the game, like everyone was like, "Oh my god, Scaramuccia, oh, I love you so much, you're so cool and so heavy." And I was like, bro, who it is? Who? Like, I never met this guy. Who?
Actual people's fates.
It was so annoying.
Literally falling from the sky.
It was so annoying.
That is like a giant program.
You know, guys, I had to watch someone doing the quest to know about this story. I had to watch it on YouTube to see that.
Scaramouche then gets sidetracked, realizing he's probably in a giant simulation this whole time and the sky is fake. We then go to Inazuma. Well, actually, we're smuggled into Inazuma with an already escaped convict and refugee Kazuha because Inazuma's in an all-out decree and dictatorship. Remember that crazy puppet that I told you the Raiden Shogun made? Well, it's been confiscating visions to uphold its program of eternity. The Sakoku decree was so strict that Inazuma's borders were completely sealed, and everyone's confiscated visions were placed for all to see, except for the beings of Watatsumi Island. They still hate the Raiden Shogun and refused to give up their visions. So the most loyal to the Raiden Shogun of the Triforce Commissions, the Kujo clan, went to war with the residents of Watatsumi, and their leader Sagonomiya Kokomi, while we ally ourselves with the Yashiori Commission and their leaders, Kamisato Ayato and Ayaka. We eventually challenge the Raiden Shogun directly, but naturally we lose this, joining forces with Watatsumi but learning that the Fatui Harbingers have been orchestrating this conflict from behind the scenes, taking advantage of the strife and war with her long...
Like, literally, when I did this quest, this was literally the first time I met this guy. Literally the first time. I was so confused at first.
Abandoned puppet Scaramouche running the Delusion Factory, while La Signora goes to negotiate with the Shogun directly. But her ego and pride gets in the way as she accepts a challenge from us directly. Going by Inazuma law and tradition, La Signora is defeated and then slain by the Raiden Shogun puppet, with Yaimiko and the rest of the resistance in Inazuma all banding together to help Raiden A snap out of her funk and reclaim her rightful place as Archon of Inazuma, sidelining her puppet, but her puppet would still have its programming, so we would ultimately still have to deal with it, leaving Inazuma in a state of recovery, but in a much better place. When we arrive in Sumeru, the entire place is filled with uncertainty and conspiracy. The people there are slowly suffering more and more from this corruption of Irminsul and this phenomenon.
The Sumeru quest was so long, annoying, and all. Like, I really hated.
Known as the Withering, and people like Tegnari are
was
doing
the
their
worst
best
quest
to try to
version.
keep it at bay. while the sages give everyone this fancy headpiece, giving everybody Wi-Fi in Sumeru to hijack their dreams and create a 3D
Wi-Fi.
samsara. As the academia corrupted over time, the new Dendro Archon Nahida, Lesser Lord Kusanali, was imprisoned and basically forgotten by her people. They refused to accept her as the new Dendro Archon, and the sages of the academia would rule over Sumeru, being manipulated by the Fatui Harbinger known as the Doctor, who was expelled from the academia many years ago. They would plot to replace Nahida with a man-made god, with Scaramouche and his electronosis being the basis of this experiment, to help fix the decaying Irminsul and the corruption of knowledge. Ultimately, we're able to uncover the truth of this, with the help of our new friends in Sumeru that already speculated that the academia was corrupt, like Alhaitham and Sino, who acts as the academia's muscle, which leads to an epic battle with a nearly completed false god, securing the electronosis. And in order to cleanse the corruption left in Irminsul, Greater Lord Rukkhadevata, what was left of her, not only completely erases herself, but erases her entire legacy and memory, so nobody in Teyvat would ever remember who she was.
That's what... Fuck you, Morgan. That was so sad, like, for the... I cannot... I can sing! I hate
Since Irminsul was corrupted and she was
Sorry, this is really the first and last time I'll watch any video on YouTube without my YouTube Premium account. Like, for real.
Avatar of Irminsul, naturally she was corrupted along with it. I guess when you have to do a complete factory reset, it is what it is. But the current Dendro Archon would negotiate the two Gnosis with the Doctor for secrets of Teyvat, after which she would rehabilitate the 6th Fatui Harbinger in the Shogun puppet Scaramouche, erasing him from Irminsul and allowing him a fresh start. But because the Traveler is a descender and not tethered to the land, naturally we remember Rukkhadevata and we help Nahida remember as well. We then meet a pure-blooded Conrian cursed with immortality named Clothar, who fell in love with a woman from
I'd love it, the time loop d'autre de Rescuption Scaramouche.
Mondstadt 500 years ago, having a son named Caliber. Unfortunately, when they were cursed, his son got the curse of the wilderness. This led to Clothar founding the Abyss Order, with our Abyss sibling still being the prince.
Oh wait, is this the guy who shows things with his hands in the third party map? Like, I'm used to see him all time when I did my exploration. It was so funny. Like, he showed everything with his hands on the map, the online map.
Our princess, but he went mad about 100 years ago and then eventually disappeared. We then head on over to Fontaine, who still has the prophesized demise hanging over their heads, and the water levels have been rising every year, and there's a lot of tension in Fontaine. 500 years ago, Focalor, one of the most exceptional Oceanids under Egeria, became the new Hydro Archon. But in order to save everyone from this flood, she devised a plan. The plan is to destroy the very concept of the Hydro Archon and their divine throne, returning the power to the original rulers, the Sovereigns, and the new reincarnated Hydro Sovereign Neuvillette. But in order to do this, she needs to accumulate energy in the Oratrice, used in the courtroom of Fontaine.
Okay, finally I understand.
But in order to prevent Celestia from realizing that Focalor is basically working on screwing them over, she divides herself in half, separating herself into her human form and her divine form, with her human form being Farina. Farina having to act and pretend to be the Hydro Archon now for the next 500 years, which effectively works for the most part, except for a few people being suspicious. While in the fortress of Meripede, an exceptional warden puts all the convicts to work for something good in creating a giant ship in case the prophecy does come true. Also doing their best to keep the Primordial Sea at bay, since the Primordial Sea will actually dissolve all the people from Fontaine, since remember, the people from Fontaine are actually Oceanids, not human. Once Nublet has his full power and authority restored by Focalor
made
after she
famous by Meezie.
sacrifices herself, he then turns the people of Fontaine into real humans now. And the flood still quote-unquote happens in the eyes of Celestia, but not before smacking around the all-devouring Narwhal, which is a creature from outside Teyvat, possibly related to the Leviathans from Honkai Star Rail, we have no idea. Sertologi that now resides outside Teyvat kept this thing as a pet, and it breached Teyvat, so we had to deal with it, and then Skirk yeets it and Child through a portal and tells us about the Gnosis and how they're the remains of
It
the
was so
third
funny.
descender. We then run into our
Tartaglia.
Abyss sibling who's trying to create an atlas to recreate Conria through the ley lines, who needs the eye of the first field tiller from Dainsliff, and then they tell us that the Heavenly Principles is still asleep but will awaken soon.
That's why Celestia did nothing. Like we can't stop to mess everything, and Celestia never did anything. It was because there was Celestia was asleep. Sorry, but I still continue to say Celestia because Heavenly Principle doesn't make sense for me. So I said Celestia. The yeet make me lose every time I see yeet.
Atlan, everything is status quo. Most of the old dragons from the ancient days have evolved into Saurians that get along and integrated with the tribes of Natlan, each tribe forming a close bond with one of the Saurians. But most of the ancient technology of
Music
the
goes
dragons
hard.
has been lost, except for in a few cases where they uncover some of this technology. Hence why the Pyro Archon has a motorbike. Mavwika the Pyro Archon during the Cataclysm, who we talked about already, re-emerges in current day, and they continue their pilgrimage to fight back the Abyss and win the war. 500 years ago, however, while Mavwika disappeared, a powerful commander and general by the name of Thrain, cursed with immortality, along with the majority of his platoon, had to flee Conria and assisted in Natlan fighting back the monsters in the Abyss, making friends with the tribes here. And he made a promise.
I was so disappointed by Capitano. Like, I can't stop hearing people say, "Oh my God, he's the most powerful human of Tevat. Wow, he's so strong." And he did nothing. Like, he did nothing, and now his ass is freezing on a nice throne. Yeah. So disappointed.
Masters of the Nightwind tribe of that era to
It's
save
cool,
Natlan
and
from the Abyss
it's really
one
cool
day.
though, but
Now he's returned
bro,
to
do
just
something.
that.
Do something,
The
please.
captain's plan
Do
is
something.
to uncover old dragon technology in a backup plan if the Pyro Archon's plan doesn't
something.
work. His plan involves sacrificing Natlan's history for its survival, whereas the Pyro Archon refuses to
But
do
we want
that,
more.
wanting the legend
Nothing, just save the entire world twice. But we want more. Like, we didn't see him often. Like, bro.
legendary heroes that came before to live on through memory and the ley lines, and what's left of their damaged ley lines through the Wyeb. Ultimately though, the captain and the Pyro Archon are able to compromise and work together. Since the Pyro Archon had to use the majority of her power to keep the Abyss at bay, she is now weakened, so the captain along with his soldiers is a much needed help in Natlan. Then the Abyss launches its great attack, which led to both many people and Saurians dying at the hands of the Abyss, including
quest was so
Chaska's
boring.
sister. The current day heroes along with the Pyro Archon are able to keep the Abyss at bay, blasting a hole right through the false sky, revealing one of the dead moons beyond. The Abyss now taking on the
it
form
was a
of the
dead
dead Pyro
moon.
sovereign, Shukato, with an all-out battle and
Wait, this is a
confrontation.
sovereign. Oh, what? Okay, I
We are
missed
able to
so
defeat
much
the Abyss
thing.
for good.
I missed so much thing. Fuck! I hate Had.
Every day, feel more.
Yeah. Don't care. Skip.
Saving Natlan, and the captain using his immortal body, able to stick it to the shade of death, acting as an anchor for all the dead souls both Conrian
So
and
what was
Natlan.
that? It was
Shibalaki, the
a
first
shade?
Pyro Archon, part of his deal was, if one of his descendants were to ever actually win the war, he could come back for one day and witness the victory. Which he does. We then reach the point in the timeline and story where this paradox took place 500 years ago.
It's a shade. The shade of death. Oh, it's the abyssal entities who take the appearance of the pure sovereign. Who take... Ah, okay.
Successfully completing
That's why
the bootstrap time loop and
it looks
paradox.
like an abyss.
With our abyss sibling having
monster.
the atlas to recreate Conria completed. The 3 remaining shades of the primordial one have a meeting to discuss.
Okay, I totally missed the thing. I thought it was the 3 moons goddess. So no, it's 3 of the shades. Okay, that's why it sounded so weird. This is her. Yeah, so the shades of the death here. She looks so cool. I love her.
The shade of space,
I want her to step on me.
Potentially betraying them and following a new master,
So,
which is more than likely the abyss.
yeah.
But it's hard
It should be the shades of time, I guess, or maybe space, time or space.
to say. Maybe a Kevin Kaslana variant, we don't know. And that's when we get to Nodcry. Nodcry being
I've told you the trailer is about the 3 moon goddess and the 4. Yeah, but I cut after the before the end. So I just read a trailer about the 3 moon goddess. And I didn't read after the goddess. Maybe that's why I was so confused. Maybe that's why I was so
a sub-nation of Snezhnaya, but its own nation altogether. 500 years ago after the Cataclysm, during the War of Vengeance, we talked about the 3 moon sisters and goddesses that were killed by the dragons for betraying them.
Yeah, I should rewatch
the
it,
moons
yes.
themselves were shattered
Indeed.
with the frost moon remaining intact. This led to a reincarnated moon goddess being born after the Cataclysm, and the Frost Moon Scions that are descendants of the angels named this goddess Kutar. But she would ultimately feel confused, isolated from her true source of power with the barrier of the false sky, and being used by the Frost Moon Scions to grant meaningless wishes and solve everyone's problems.
But okay, there is something I didn't really understand is how Columbina was born, because she was born after the Cataclysm. So how did she born? So how is it possible? I didn't understand this thing.
So she would leave Nodcry and get recruited by the Fatui, who also wanted to use her for her powers, which they would, leading her to abandon the Fatui.
We don't know yet.
Back in Nodcry with the current leader of the Frost Moon Scions, Lauma, keeping her secret and safe. Backtracking a little bit now, you know those 5 sinners? Well, one of them, named Rarier, was given the job by the King of Conria to kill an entire species of human, all connected to the Crimson Moon.
So hard. The way you say that, it's so harsh.
Corruption and just the potential insecurity of being overthrown. So he wanted every single descendant of the Crimson Moon slaughtered, and that was Rarier's job. He also had a fiance and seemed like a pretty actually normal guy. I mean, outside the fact that he's committing genocide.
It seems to be a pretty normal guy. Outside the fact he's committing... This sentence is crazy, bro.
He hated himself.
This is really crazy.
He always found reasons to justify his actions like they were an actual threat, even though some of these Crimson Moon people were just kids. It's not until he learns his fiancée is indirectly connected to the Crimson Moon dynasty, and he orders him to kill her as well. If you want me to kill kids, that's fine. But the chick I'm banging, are you serious? So then naturally...
What? What? The what? I'm what? I'm banking? What the fuck? I think I got the cheek. But what does banging means? Like it's like the hee hee ha ha or what the fuck? Oh my god.
Now he betrays the king, and the 5 sinners overthrow the king of Conria, but come in
I
contact with
can't.
the abyss
I
of
can't.
corruption, like we already learned, and henceforth the cataclysm. But during those 500 years, Rarier, trying to find his beloved fiancé that went through a portal, had his body shredded apart, being cast in the shadow of the moon, all of his fragments being scattered, and he created an army known as the Wild Hunt that are now also scattered. The Light Keepers are a group that formed to keep the Wild Hunt at bay. But his main fragment is in one of the Light Keepers' lanterns, Flynn's. He needs Kuvaki energy to piece himself back together like the perfect Humpty Dumpty. So he impersonates people in Nodcry to trick them into rebuilding the cannon and blasting himself and being reborn. All the while, Sandrone, the 7th Fatui Harbinger, and the Frostmoon Scions are at each other's throats to claim the moon fragments and influence over Nodcry. Once Rarier pieces himself back together, he realizes he can go straight for Columbina, the new moon goddess, and get the bulk of his Kuvaki energy he needs, which forces us to band together with everyone in Nodcry, even including the long-awaited Grandmaster of the Knights of Avonius that's been away since the game started. Realizing that one of the 5 sinners is too powerful to defeat directly, we devise a plan to use his power against him and yeet him through a portal, giving him that Tartaglia treatment, which we successfully do. In order for this to work, we needed the power of the moon goddess. Being that she has no connection to her power source,
I forgot about that.
Her strength is depleted, at least giving her a power-up that was comparable to when she was the 3rd Harbinger. We need to seek out the 3rd missing moon fragment of the iridescent moon, which is actually the crimson moon Conria used to harness, or at least it's the dead corpse of this moon.
Oh fuck. You refer to the Skirk. Yeah, but Tartaglia is still in the other space.
With the abyss. Arlecchino, being a descendant and survivor that fled Conria to seek refuge in Fontaine, is able to use her powers in connection to the Crimson Moon to open this doorway so we can power up
Okay, this is what we did.
Rarier now successfully vanished, but
was
will
last
he
week.
Return? And everything in Nodcry that's happened so far,
came back at the end of
which everything in Nodcry is more than likely been orchestrated by the Doctor behind the scenes. Now the Doctor knowing exactly where all the moon fragments are now. And that is the complete timeline and story of Genshin Impact caught right up to current game. Some closing remarks before I end the video though. What is Teyvat really? Is Teyvat a simulation just like Amphorius? Everything not real as we perceive it, but all within its
What do you mean Amphorius is a simulation?
What is the Hexen Circle's endgame? Do they just mean to protect Teyvat, or are they also hoping to overthrow Celestia and the Heavenly Principles? Where are the remaining sovereigns we haven't met yet? Like the Electro Sovereign, the Animo Sovereign, the Geo Sovereign? Or is Teyvat, like the Hexen Circle like to depict, just a story? A story told by a higher dimensional being? Is Teyvat connected to the rest of the Honkai-verse, like Honkai Star Rail and Honkai Impact? Are there actually 2 Abyss twins? We can pick between the 2 when we start the game, but knowing what we know now with the discrepancies in Nodcry with the spaceship, are there actually 2 Abyss twins? Or have we been lied to and tricked this entire time? And finally, I want to say thank you so much for watching. There was a lot of information I had to disclude, and this video is still more than likely gonna be pushing the half-hour to 45-minute mark, because there is just that much lore to go over. I tried to stick to all the main plot points of every nation through every time period, but there was a lot of context and story
it was really a good video, like really understand so much things. Like it really helped me to understand a lot of things. Yes.
More history of the desert in Sumeru, more context about the dragons.
I'm more up to date now in the lore.
For example,
yes.
So in the future, I do plan on making a timeline video like this, but to go way more in depth on every single nation, with every nation getting its own timeline video. And lastly, before I wrap up the video, Paimon is probably not, but most certainly is, the primordial one that created the Four Shades, defeated the dragons, and is the true ruler of Celestia.
No! I knew it! Paimon!